All right. So we are here with Miss Tami Russell, who has actually been selected to be one of the breast cancer survivors and models in Anna Ono's 2020 runway show. Yay!
So nervous.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about your breast cancer in a little bit, but she is actually on the police force. And so I do have to ask you, did you grow up wanting to do that, or is this something that just evolved, or how did that happen?
No, it completely just evolved. I actually, prior to being a police officer, I worked for a dental company as an administrator.
Did you really?
Kind of weird, right?
I didn't know that.
I know, random. So the company I worked for, the entity of the specialties went bankrupt. And so it was do this or take a layoff. And at that point I was like, I'll take the layoff. So while I was laid off, some friends, and at that time I was a single mom. My girls were little. And some guy friends of mine actually said, well, you don't have a hair on your, if you don't try it. They're like, we think you'd be good at it. And I was like, why? Because I talk a lot? I don't really know. But I tested, and another time in my life where things went very quickly, and next thing I knew, well, pending offer if you pass the psych eval. That was the scary part right there.
Wow, you passed. Well, hey, cheers, you passed it.
I got through that one. So then next thing I knew, I was going off to a training, and my girls, a lot of times they were either with their dad, my ex-husband, or they were with my parents. And I can remember reading bedtime stories over the phone because they were so little, and that was like probably the longest 14 weeks of my life.
Right.
And then next thing I knew, I was back home and on the streets, and that went really quick, and now we're 14 years later.
I mean, because, you have to think, it really takes a special person to do what you do. Like, there is no way I think that I would have the courage to be on the streets every day protecting people who I don't even know.
Right. And it is tough.
And sometimes don't even appreciate it.
No.
Yeah.
I can see most don't. But, and it's interesting because this is the first year I've been on day shift. So I didn't know what it was like to work with like normal people. I'd say normal people. That probably sounds really bad. But people that are going to work and they're waving. They're not maybe flipping me off.
You.
They're actually like appreciative.
Flipping you off.
They're not flipping me
Thank
off
you,
like,
officer.
hate the police,
Right.
So, and I'm just kind of like hesitant, and I'm like, oh, they are waving. So I went back. And so, it's definitely, it's challenging.
Okay.
It has its moments.
So with that type of challenge, then you came through the challenge of your breast cancer diagnosis. So now you felt the lump on your own?
I did. Well, it had been there, like, skip back a couple years prior to that. We had done a baseline.
Yeah.
So I did my baseline, and at that time, they were calling it a radial scar. So I kind of knew something was there, but they didn't think it was really evolving into anything. They thought, it's just this radial scar. We'll just keep an eye on it. Okay, I wasn't really worried about it. Then 2 years ago, I went in for my yearly, and a couple of weeks before that, actually, we had ran into some friends of ours that had a little bitty person with them, and I thought, one of their kids had a grandbaby. No, they had a late life child. And I looked at my husband and I said, we are not. We have yours, mine, and ours are our fur babies.
Right.
So I was like, so that was one thing when I went into OB/GYN. I was like, I want to make sure we're not going to have this late life child.
Right.
So we talked about different birth control options. And then while I was there, I said, and by the way, this area is tender.
Thank God you did that, right?
I know.
It was just total by the way.
It was random. So I said, this area just seems to get really tender around my menstrual cycles. And I said, and I don't know why that would end. So he's like, you know what? It's time for a mammogram. Let's get back in there. So I got in like quick. I mean, like in a week, and which I thought was nice. I didn't have to wait forever. So I remember I worked that night. Next morning I went in, so I had no sleep. I worked midnights, went in at like 7 in the morning, had a mammogram. I watched the young technician, and I could be wrong on what they're called, but she kind of went, and she looked back down, and then the other lady kind of looked at her that was training her, and she was like, oh, it's okay. I think you took a breath. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I just about passed out holding my breath that long. So they took a picture again and same kind of look. And I was like, it's okay. Whatever you have to tell me, I can handle it. And I don't know if they were more worried because I was in uniform, like was I going to go postal? So they were like, could you mind going to this room and waiting? I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound good, but okay. So I went, then I met with a doctor. He said, we want to go ahead and do a sonogram. And that's me in nature. I find a joke in something, or at least try to find the funny to laugh through it. Because, I mean, at work even, we see a lot of things.
Right.
That you just, if you laugh, and I know sometimes people think we're totally inappropriate.
No, it's helping you get through it.
But it's a coping mechanism. So I went to, they did the sonogram, and I watched the screen, and I was like, wow. I'm like, it kind of looks like a little baby shark. The sonogram lady didn't seem really enthused with my humor. With so I was like, okay. So she went and got him. He comes in, doctor says, yeah, I don't like how it's changed. And I was like, oh, okay. But I was like, do you see the shark? I mean, someone like, go with me. I see a shark here. So next thing we knew, it went quick. He said he wanted me to stay, and it was already 1.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was like,
so they were going to do the biopsy
Yeah, they were going to do the biopsy that day. And he's like,
and you didn't have anybody with you?
No, I was by myself. So I said, because I really thought it'd be nothing, we were just going to say, oh, the radio scar got bigger. So I went home. They said next day, come back in when you get off shift, because then I was going on my days off. And then he knew I would have some days to recover. So I said, okay. So then we went in, we did the biopsy, and I waited and waited and waited. It felt like forever. And then they called and they said, we need you to see a surgeon. And I was like, oh. But no one's like said the C word yet.
Nobody said cancer.
No one has said cancer yet. No.
They just said we're
just
concerned.
There's a lot of faces.
There's a lot
and
of.
We probably should go ahead and address that area.
Right.
Yeah, we kind of skated around it.
Okay.
And then we walked in to the surgeon's office, and I remember him. Like, I don't even really remember much, but him.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there, and she was like, "So you have cancer?" And she opens up the book, and I'm
and
like,
that was the first time you'd heard that word.
Yeah. And I went, and I looked over, and he kind of turned this pale white gray color, and I'm like, okay, well, what do we do? I'm like, how do we make it go away? I'm like, how do we fix it right now?
Right.
So she said, well, we'll schedule for a lumpectomy, and then that happened very quickly. Within a couple of weeks, it seemed like I was in lumpectomy, and actually, I guess I take that back. They hadn't even said it until the lumpectomy. Because we did the lumpectomy, and then that's when she said, yes, it was cancer. Okay. So, but she kept kind of skating around that she could tell she thought it was. But he still was super white. And I have a cousin that works at the Bayless building, and I kept calling her. And I said, can you find something out? I said, every other woman, because of course when I had my lumpectomy, there's a bunch of women there that were in front of me. And I was the one tossing out jokes and just being all silly, and they were all freaking out, and I'm like, it's gonna be okay, we're all gonna be fine. Theirs all had, and we all exchanged numbers, everyone was texting, and mine's came back. I'm like, well, mine's still not back, that's not good. Then my cousin finally told me, and actually I was home alone. She called me because I wouldn't leave her alone. Yeah. I said, you have to tell me something. I said, I'm ready for the worst. I'm like, just say it. So she finally called me back, and she goes, okay, I have permission to tell you. Right. Because they know I'm going to tell you. Right. So she said, are you by yourself? And I'm like, well, I'm here with dogs, but I'm fine. I'm like, I said, Mindy, I'm not going to do anything. Just let me know what's going on. She goes, it's early. And I was like, and like the big, lump in the throat hit, and I was like, oh, what's early? Like how early? What are we talking? And she goes, just get rid of them. She goes, just get rid of your breasts. She goes, be done with them. She goes, it will come back if you and she had been through it. So I called him, and he's like, I'm en route home. And then it seemed like, we got in with the surgeon, and then we did some genetic testing, and I had a variance on a gene, which they just know it's 80% more likely that you will have breast cancer, and some other organs. So then that fear sets in of when's the next lump somewhere.
Right, because how old are you at this point?
I'll be 45 in April. So I was 42 when I was diagnosed because my birthday popped in the middle of that.
And that's so young. And think about it. Some of the newer recommendations are don't even get a mammogram until you're 50.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's what. And then of course my concern was I have daughters. And I'm like, what's this mean for them?
Risk?
And they basically said that with them, since I was diagnosed at 42, they would consider doing baselines with them at 32, 10 years earlier. So that made me feel a little bit better because I think at 32, if we would have caught it even earlier, I probably have said just take them then too.
Right.
But so then we went to schedule the double, and they said April 10th we have open, and I said, got another day. I said that's my birthday early.
Did you do it on your birthday?
No, I didn't.
Oh, did they?
I asked them to move it, so we went out a little bit further.
Right.
Because I was like, and this is just from my experience as a
Yeah.
police officer. A lot of people that I deal with death investigations, they die close to their birthday, and I didn't like that idea.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So there always seems like there's a birthday close. So I'm like, no, can we skip
Let
it?
me have my birthday.
Yeah. Exactly. So I had a good birthday, and then said goodbye to the tatas.
Right. And when you went through like do you feel like you were prepared for the reconstruction and all that, you know, the pain, the swelling, the limited activity?
No, I think I'm stubborn. And I know I'm stubborn as a sin. That's why my bulldog and I get along so well. So, no, I had no idea what I was in for. I mean, I just was like, I put all of that trust into the doctors and the staff. I was like, this is your thing. I have no idea what we're doing. You talk criminal, we'll go figure that out. But this is all you. No, I remember waking up, and I knew I was adamant going into surgery that I was not staying the night at the hospital.
Right.
God knows why that was in my head, but I just wasn't staying. And I remember one of the recovery nurses going, oh my gosh, no, you can't do that. And I had sat up straight and did a sit-up, and I said, I'm ready to go. And they were like, do you mind just recovering a little bit longer? I was like, I want to go home right now. And they said I became kind of ornery about it. And then Dr. Summer said, she's good. Let's get her out of here. So I was good the first 3 days. And then when all of those blockers wore off.
Right, when the anesthesia wears off. Right,
I was not happy in those drains. That was a pain that I don't even know how to explain. I had one that was doing something really weird. It was pinching a nerve, and my back was basically having a full-time workout, but I didn't know how to describe it. I didn't know. I thought that was just supposed to be happening. Yeah, so it was pretty miserable.
Did you have Dana's garments then?
No, I did not.
I mean, what do you think? Would that have
would
helped?
have made a huge difference.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy finding bras. Like, I have an aunt that owns a DME, durable medical company, and she had ordered me some bras, her and my mom. But and
were they sexy?
No, they were so awful.
I'm just picturing awful, the granny, the granny nanny. Which there's nothing wrong with the granny nanny bras. I have a few myself, but
I probably still have them. But they were so ugly.
But they weren't necessarily delicate.
Nothing about them were
feminine.
attractive.
Yeah. So when you were asked to do the fashion show at the winery. I mean, was your first instinct like, yeah, I'm going to do it? Or were you
Well, it was at first. And then I was like, ooh, what did I just sign up for?
Right.
Then I kind of pulled back a little bit. Because then I was like, well, it's my community.
Right.
And it's where I police.
Right.
And now we're talking, people are going to see me half naked. I'm like, so I was a little nervous.
Okay.
And being that, I guess I'm so used to just being covered. And I guess in a sense, I'm pretty modest.
Yeah.
Except for at home. I do my thing. But for the most part, I'm usually covered up. Even if we go to the beach, but that's just because I burn at the side of the moon. So I usually have like a cover up on. I don't show a whole lot. So yeah, it was scary, especially when we got closer to it. I was like, oh, what did I do?
So what was it like then?
It was amazing.
Especially like the response that you had. And I was even talking to Chris, like I was watching him, I think a little bit more than you. Yeah. Because I knew I could watch it back on tape, but wow.
I know. I wish I would have videotaped him.
I tried. He was too far away.
I wish I would have said something to one of my girlfriends or something like, get him.
Yeah.
But I didn't expect him to be that emotional either. But I think a lot of it was, we were told this is what's happening. We were like, here's your options. We chose, let's go after it and be done with it and hopefully have be not the 1% where it returns. And then we thought, let's just move on. We had so much going on when it first came about. Like, we had literally just moved into this house, and we'd been here for like 2 months, and then I got diagnosed. And then we had 3 kids at that time in college. And, you know, we had 1 starting college, 2 going off for their second year. It was very overwhelming. There was a lot going on. And so I think that we just kind of like did what we had to do, and we got past it, and then I went back to
just
work.
Hadn't
And no, it never. We didn't really talk about it. It was just like, and he was a saint. Like, my drains, I couldn't touch them. I'd freak out. And he was like, you have to do this. We have to measure it. And he was so good. I have no idea because I don't remember anything. But he, at the show, I looked up, and that's when I lost it. And it took everything. I was biting my lower lip, my tongue. And one of the guys that worked this the other day, he's like, you guys were such crybabies during that.
But it's okay.
And I was like, you know, I don't think he ever thought about what all we went through and how much that was. And then now, like, meeting Susan and getting to know Susan, knowing how fortunate we were to find it when we did. And so I think that, and like, you know, it touches him. And well, and then I guess it reminds me how much he loves me, so.
Which is always good.
No, it is good.
So I listened to one of your interviews that you've done locally on the TV, and it struck me that you said, I don't know why I was selected. I guess I just don't feel special. Do you really think that?
No, I think really it's like, it's never about me. Like, I always feel like I'm here to help others. That I don't want people to put attention on me. So it's overwhelming for me because I'm not used to it. I mean, it's always been kids, mom, husband, what time's dinner?
But now it's Tammy's time.
I know, and so I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not used to that.
Yeah,
really,
but it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, Besides my mom and dad growing up, you know, it was always Tammy's world. And then I think I outgrew that at some point and forgot about it.
So New York, are you ready for New York?
I am. I'm nervous. I think it's going to be an amazing experience, and I'm excited to meet all the other women and hear their stories and what they've gone through. And I don't know, it's just interesting. I never thought my story really meant a whole lot. It was just, you know, it happened, we got through it, it's done. But the more I listen to other women, and I guess everyone has their own journey. And, you know, I used to coach girls on the run, and of course that's how I met you, is through running. But
we ain't running anymore. I'm just like,
we'll see. So I always teach the girls, like, sometimes in life we don't want to run, but if you hop, skip, jump, you can get through it. And I feel like somewhere in there I hop, skipped, and someone higher than me said it's time to sit down and take care of yourself for a minute and pay attention to you again.
Preach. Absolutely.
So, and that was hard to swallow because I hadn't had to for so long. But then it made me realize how much I want to be here. I'm not ready to go.
Well, you do so much for everybody else.
Yeah.
Like I said, the courage that you have to serve our community, I think it's time for our community to serve you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I do. So I think New York will just be, it'll be a heck of a memory. I said it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Making some new memories out there.
And, you know, and you are setting such a great example for other women who say something's not right, or I need to know what I need to do, or just stepping out of your comfort zone and making those memories way out of your comfort zone.
Way out of my comfort zone.
You know, that's definitely kudos to you for kind of showing us how to do it.
Yeah. Let me know how it goes.
Okay. All right, cheers.
Cheers.
All right, so you guys will be able to follow Tami. We're all like Tammy's tribe. We're going to follow her to New York and kind of show what that journey is going to be like going through the fashion show. Throughout this, you know, Mediviver is sponsoring the show. All of their money goes specifically for metastatic breast cancer research, so if you want to donate. Also, Susan, who went last year, and she's all going to go this year. This is actually the bottle of wine. Actually, she's wearing some Anna Ono
she sure
wear
is.
on there. And if you buy the Carmen at the winery, actually, there is money and proceeds that go straight to breast cancer research. So
Yes.
I think that's pretty cool too.
Yes.
But we're going to have a really good time.
Oh boy.
All right. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you.
Tammy's Tribe. Look for Tammy's Tribe.